Scorched, an original short story by Nicholas B. Morris. 1. When the city no longer held anything of value to offer us, we burned it to the ground. The plumes of smoke rose into the horizon, a warning to the next dot on the colonel's map that we would come for them soon. We didn't break camp, at least not in the sense that I came to think of it when serving in other units. The colonel sent down orders to leave everything behind. All we needed awaited us in the next city. Beds, food, booze, women, and riches. We picked up our weapons and bedding, fell in line, and began the long march toward our fate. The officers executed a man marching near me for turning to look back at the burning city. The enforcers called for a full halt, pulled him from the ranks, and shot him in front of us all. The colonel himself stood on his platform and addressed us.
"There is nothing behind you but death and ash,"
he told us in his great booming voice.
"You are men with no past. Forget history. Forget your families. Do not look back for any reason. All of your glory lies in the road forward."
2. We met resistance on the road, but it fell away quickly. They were no match for our numbers or weapons. The officers dispensed what supplies the dead had lying around to those on the front lines. We marched on. The new city loomed ahead, growing larger with each and every step, shadowy at first, then clearer as we approached. The city's forces returned fire later than most. Normally, a city under attack fires too soon. They kill some of us that way, but it always costs them in the long run. They use up their ammunition too quickly. We engulf them as they try to reload or beat at us with their empty weapons. This particular city had smarter soldiers. They waited until they could not miss. No matter. As soon as they hit us, we hit back. Wave after wave of us crashed over their walls, and they fell like all of the others. Their troops fought well, and they killed many of our men. But we always kill more. Some tried to surrender. A few always try. We shot them all. No room in our ranks for deserters of any stripe. By nightfall, we walked their streets unimpeded. The clatter of our boots echoed through the deserted alleyways. The order came down from the colonel.
"Take what is yours."
A cheer rose up from the troops. We moved door to door, kicking them in when the inhabitants did not welcome us. Some of the women were more inviting than others, but they all submitted. Often we opened the doors, revealing dead children and their suicidal parents. We sifted through their valuables, took what we wanted, and moved on to the next door. 3. One of the women who serviced me asked after I had dressed, "Will you keep me as your mistress while you occupy the city?" "No," I replied. "There are plenty of others." I didn't tell her we had no plans to occupy anywhere. She nodded. "Can I leave with you when you go?" I shook my head. "We take only what we can carry with us." She sobbed with loud, gasping breaths. "The survivors will turn on me," she cried. "They call me a collaborator, shave off my hair, spit on me in the streets." "Take consolation," I said, "that there will be very few survivors." "I wish that you would kill me then," she said between sniffles. I obliged her request. Near the end, in her emerald eyes, I saw that she regretted asking for death. She begged me to stop, but I couldn't. Once I begin a job, I must finish it. 4. We spend only 2 days in the new city before the order to burn everything comes down. It takes the colonel less time to grow restless as our campaign wears on, our lieutenant tells us. We salt the crops, blow up the bridges and the towers, set fire to all the buildings. Our boots stomp the ground with a roar that matches the rising flames. Some of the men in the ranks grumble on the long road between cities. The road is dusty and twisting, the rations briny and pathetic. One man, a corporal, tells everyone in earshot that the colonel has gone mad. "I passed his tent on patrol," he says, "and he was almost baying at the moon." "You're a fool to say anything," another man, a private, says. "Colonel kills any man who even questions him." The corporal shakes his head. "That's fine with me. At least this will be over then." The next morning, our lieutenant rouses us and tells us we must track down 3 deserters. I am one of the soldiers given this task. We chase the men down. They've not gotten very far. One of them is the corporal who accused the colonel of lunacy. They fire at us, but we neutralize them soon enough. We are under strict orders. They must be brought back alive. We fire low, taking out their knees. Then shoot their hands as we approach so they cannot defend or kill themselves. As we drag their bloody bodies across the ground, they scream obscenities, curse our mothers, our children, beg us for a merciful death. We ignore them, because we know what awaits us if we do not follow orders. The colonel calls an assembly, and we all watch as he personally tortures the traitors with his razor blade, high up on his platform. It takes over an hour for the last man to expire. The colonel makes a short speech, reiterating the message he'd already given us with the blood of the traitors. Then he dismisses us. We trudge back to our tents in silence. On my cot, I stare at the photo my wife gave me when I left for the war. I look at it for a long time, trying to remember what it is I'm supposed to feel for this woman. What I saw in her smile. But I can't avoid her eyes, the same sad eyes of the woman I choked to death. I strike a match and burn the picture. The sulfur smell stings my eyes as I watch hers turn black and disappear in a curl of smoke. Five. The cities blur together after a while. Every street looks the same, littered with dead bodies and empty shell casings. Every building we take smells of cinders, whether we've burned it yet or not. The screaming, scratching women are the same woman, over and over and over again. The color of her eyes changes, but never the struggle and never the result. We replace all the loot from the last city with the loot we find in the next one, thinking each time that we found something better, shinier, more valuable. Salt, explode, burn, march, repeat. 6. One day, we reach the sea. The colonel stands on the beach smiling his toothy, hungry smile.
Men, we have completed our mission. Take a few days to relax.
But we can't relax. We've dedicated our lives to scorching an ashen scar across the earth. We need to keep moving. Find new victims to cut down, new buildings to burn. The days drag on, and men fight over card games, bottles, and women. The enforcers use heavier hands to keep us in line. We waste our bullets on each other. Finally, the colonel assembles us again on the beach.
We have won many battles,
He says to us.
but the war is not over. Some members of our cause have turned against us. The Brigadier General has betrayed our mission.
He paces back and forth on his platform, hands clasped behind his back, his voice rising with the wind from the sea.
So men, tomorrow at dawn, we pick ourselves up and head north. We will aim our guns at the general's traitorous army, and we will be victorious yet again.
A cheer rises up from us. Once again, we have purpose. Something to help us forget that we are already dead. Thank you for listening to Scorched by Nicholas B. Morris. Nicholas B. Morris grew up in Arkansas but fell in love with Colorado. His stories and other assorted writings have been published in the Harpoon Review, Cliterature, Conatati on Press, Danse Macabre Online, and Nebo. He has published 2 short story collections, the full-length Tapeworm and the chapbook The Boy in the Well, both with the sadly now defunct Monkey Puzzle Press. You can still buy copies of Tapeworm from Mr. Morris directly on Amazon. He works in his dream job as assistant professor of humanities at the Community College of Denver and watches endless reruns of Star Trek with his partner Alyssa Pacini. The track behind Mr. Morris's story this week was taken from the Free Music Archive. It is titled My War Blues, which comes from the album Live at WMFU on the Long Rally with Scott McDowell, December 16, 2011, and is by Cian Nugent. The track is being used under an Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. A million thanks to Free Music Archive and Cian Nugent for sharing this music with the world. That is the final story for us this week. I hope that you've enjoyed our journeys together, and I look forward to having you all back next week for yet another episode of Prose. Until then, be well.